Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Good evening everybody, Militia Man and Crew here. It's Friday night. I hope everybody's having a good night, home safe and sound, having a good meal. I think that Wally and Winnie are finally quiet and they won't be bothering us. That'd be nice if they showed up, but anyway. Look, there's quite a bit of stuff out. I don't know if you guys paid attention to this or not, but there is an article that came out by Al-Sudani. It's called "The Prime Minister Issues Several Directives to Expand the Scope of Financial Services in the Governance." Okay. What I believe that he's doing here is he's mirroring something that transpired with the IMF and Iraq back in February of 2024. And that would be the Article 4 consultation meetings. If you read the 68-page document that we went over a while back, you notice that there was some key things that we focused in on. And some of that stuff was like cross-border payments, expansion of the banking private sector, all that stuff. Well, again, that's what are they going to do? Is they need to educate the citizens. There's lots of little bits and pieces, if you will, and components that go into that Article 4 consultation. In fact, there's a lot of stuff. This article today is interesting, though. Prime Minister Al-Sudani issued several directives today, which is Friday, to expand the scope of financial services in all the governance, and that's for the citizens, of course. It says, within the framework of efforts to reform the financial and banking system as one of the priorities of the government program, and in light of the important steps achieved during the past 2 years. So clearly, you guys, he's been working on this for 2 years, and we know that they've had Article 4 consultations in the past, but they had a fresher one this year, and it's all about what we're talking about in this, and then some. In light of the challenges facing the financial and banking system, especially in the governance, and since by confronting them requires greater attention, radical improvements to ensure enhancing confidence in the financial and banking sectors, facilitating the process of economic development, increasing financial inclusion, that includes everybody in the country, region for that matter, facilitating the process of economic development, increasing financial inclusion again, and raising its indicators throughout the country. So basically stating that because of most of these activities were concentrated in the capital, they're going to effectively move forward in, well, or have been doing it in all of the governance. At the beginning it was Baghdad, and then now it's around their country, which is fascinating because that touches on the rural areas. That includes like the 50,000 point of sales machines they've got, all the ATM machines, all the banking, all the electronic cards they've issued. They have the national cards to the tune of about 40 million. They've got, Alok just said the other day, they've got exceeding 20 million electronic cards for payments, etc. So gas stations, paying for electricity, all these different things are going to have benefit for the citizens. Rumors are out there flying about how that's actually happening, and they're actually getting more and more citizens coming into their getting bank accounts, getting cards, because the expectation is, look, you only have so much time. We're going to do a digital transformation whether you like it or not. So if you're not going to bring in your cash, you might have some problems in the future. That's my opinion. Okay, that's not what this article talks about, but that's part of the room, the street, being in this, for years. We hear lots of different things, and most times when we start talking about stuff like that, it's because it's for real, and you can deduce it from what they're telling you in print. You can read outside the box a little bit safely. Okay, in my view, I think we can. Got to be careful, of course. But here he says, number one, increasing the number of bank branches. We all know that. They've got, not only do they have the bank branches, but they've got the correspondent banks that reach out across the world so that they can do international trade. Correspondent banks relationships, CBRs, right? You're going to see that stuff in that 68-page document. I would suggest every single person click on the link and come and read it. and sit back and think about how far you've been. If you've been in this for 15 or 20 years and you read that document, you're going to have awakening. You're going to go, wow, they have come a long way. Yeah, it's been a long road. Had they had opportunity in the past? Of course they did. We all know they did. But where are we now? We're here now, and we're watching it unfold. You watched the Port of Fao, 5 berths opened yesterday. All that keep in mind. Item number 2, adopt modern technologies such as online banking services, mobile applications, which makes it easier for citizens to access their banking services. We all have that around the world. Most of us, they're just now getting it, but they've done so. Basically, they're saying that how much of the importance is towards developing their financial services in a manner that suits the needs of the individuals and small companies. Small, medium enterprises are a backbone. It's no doubt, okay, of a country. Facilitating loans, getting them to do savings accounts so that they can facilitate loans. Enhancing financial inclusion, getting everybody the ability to have a fair, level playing field. It goes on to say, in having financial inclusion in the governance, providing banking services to different segments of society, including not including just districts, but sub-districts and villages in the rural areas. They've already started that. They've already done that. Launching conferences and awareness campaigns in the governance to educate citizens. My understanding is from people that say that they have their connections on the ground that they're actually getting phone calls trying to tell the people why it's important to go to the bank, get electronic cards, and realize that the digital transformation is upon them. You got to remember it's a cash society, but they're going to go cashless. They're not going to go no cash, but they're going to go cashless. And they may make it difficult for those new small category notes that people are expecting, for the citizens to have them for any reason. Because why? They want cashless. It's cheaper for the country to use a digital society. So just, it is what it is. Pros and cons, I'm sure everybody's going to debate that, but the bottom line is that they want their citizens to have an education and how important it is to deal with the banks, how to manage and invest money. It goes on, it says that they're training the youth. Okay, they're going to go after those young pioneers, the local businessmen, and they want to get them up to speed with dealing with loans and financial services. So here's a little snippet from the IMF Article 4, 2024. Effectively, it's addressing the item number 1 that we talked about. I think they talked about 5 or 6 numbers, but here I'm just going to say that this particular one points to item number 1. Directors that curb the accelerating the restructuring of the large state-owned banks is essential. They encourage further modernization of the private banking sector. That's what they did. They've done that over the last 2 years, so it just didn't get started. I told you about the CBRs. What they're called is correspondent banking relationships. We've known about that since 2023. So you see where I'm coming from, you guys. This isn't brand new. This is like what's been done. 2024 consultation, Article 4, is about things that they've got to a certain point where now we're going to the next step. And we're focusing in on 2024 for what? Modernizing the banking system, getting that completed. Going to the private sector, privatizing the state-owned banks, all of that stuff. And we all know that. Ernst & Young was there doing it. They've had a contract since January. We remember that, right? So here it says, this is early 2023, most cross-border payments were cleared by the CBI or the Fed channel, which the CBI, Fed, I'm assuming it's the Central Bank of Iraq and the Federal Reserve, or just the CBI and the federal government of Iraq. But the CBI introduced a second channel wherein the CBI pre-funded overseas dollar accounts of the domestic commercial banks that had CBRs with who? Citibank. This is coming from the IMF Article 4. Who's involved? Citibank. The banks say, well, we're not involved. JP Morgan, oh, we're not involved. It's in black and white. Citibank for trade finance. This has allowed an increasing share of cross-border payments to be cleared through commercial banks. That's not my words. Google it. 2024 IMF Article 4 consultation, 68-page PDF file. Download it. This was the second time I put it out. Okay, several measures have been taken to enhance digital payments, including expanding the use of point-of-sale machines, mandating the use of electronic payment cards, certain transactions such as fuel purchases, raising the ceilings on ATMs and bank card transactions so they can get more money, reducing the banking fees. All of those efforts will welcome and help reduce Iraq's reliance on cash and improve financial inclusion. These are just items number 2, 3, 4, and 5, and 6 of Al-Sudani, especially for women whose access to financial services might otherwise be constrained due to limited mobility and other impediments. So if you get the picture, I bring this stuff in from the International Monetary Fund is because they are part of the structure of getting Iraq to become international. It's pretty simple. Expansion of digital payments. I mean, they talk about how many correspondent banks they have established. It's just one thing after another. So anyway, check out this article that I have in patreon.com/MMANDCREW, and you'll get the whole piece, if you will, okay? Again, it's just really good information that we have. Here's another article that I'll go over briefly tonight. Is called a gentleman by the name of Alpha Artusi. It confirms that the success of laying 3 large steamers in the 5 berths at the Al-Faa port. All it is basically is the Port of Fao project consists of 5 projects with its infrastructure, and the symbolic project being that it's got what they call 5 sidewalks, 5 berths, 4 huge ships, very large. Okay, so today I guess this was probably today they put it out, but it was actually yesterday. No, 3 large ships came today after Sudani left yesterday. That's how I see it. Okay, 3 large ships were erected on the sidewalks to prove that to the world that Iraq's seriousness in completing the Fao project. So basically, they're openly getting going and showing that they can do international business and international trade. And the first 5 berths are ready to go. And I believe they said 100% complete. And here's a gentleman that comes back and comes out to, and he talks about his view. And his article that he put out today is called Sinbad's Return from the Gate of the Grand Fao Port. It says the Iraqi Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani inaugurated the first phase of the Grand Port. That was yesterday. He says with completion of the first phase of the 5 docks, Iraq will have opened the gate to the path of development. This is this gentleman by the name of Adel, which is considered the next Iraq strategic project and the new economic artery that will add other resources to the country in addition to oil, in addition to creating thousands of jobs, employment opportunities, all of which are plans that will put Iraq on the path of the future. It says Iraq is considered one of the most historical countries in the transportation and trade market and dates back to 3,000 years BC. So Iraq's got some history, according to this gentleman. I would say that who didn't remember Sinbad the Sailor when you were a little kid, you know? All this stuff, all those, even all the old cartoons were pretty fun. It says that the need aroused, again, the new Iraq to revive the resources of strength and distinction of Iraq's historical past, and it's now being represented by the development path. The government of Mohammed Shia al-Sudani is working to implement through which it seeks to revive the Silk Road. So the Silk Road interconnecting with the development road on into Turkey and into the north, into Europe. It's not going to stop, you guys. They're talking about it, just adding the accessories. land transport lines, railways, airports, major ports, which has made, made this gentleman feel that Sinbad has returned to the Gulf. So anyway, good article. You guys check that one out too. And here, Al-Alaq, the central bank governor, he's describing the parallel market as abnormal. But he does say that there's great stability in prices. He says, Al-Alaq's pointing out that there's great stability in prices and a decline in inflation. We've known it. We've heard that from Saleh. We've heard it from al-Nasuri. And once again, we're coming from the horse's mouth. Inflation is key. It's low. I think it went from 7.5 to 3.8. So it's really in good shape. He says, we understand the focus on the rise in exchange rates in local markets, but we believe that the focus should be on the ability of the central bank to implement full coverage of all foreign transfers for commercial or other purposes, and this happens on a daily basis. He goes on to say the price that is traded in the market is in fact an abnormal price that does not reflect the true price. He's talking about the illegal market. Okay. Usually the price is called a parallel price when there is a real parallel market with sources of dollars other than the central bank. So if there's other sources of dollars on the street and people are trading that, they're doing it illegally, but there's still a source. So to me, my view is that's the government's job. That's not the central bank's job. It's the government's job to tamp that down. And that's on not al-Sistani, but he could put out a fatwa, but I meant to say al-Sudani, to curb it, to get it done. But you're going to see something from Al-Alaq in a minute that is really powerful, okay? Because it tells me that they're working on that as we speak. And there's one big thing that I think that we're going to find, that if he does do what I think he's going to do, there's going to come a time where that market's going to go away. And I think we're going to be vindicated on that with Militia Man and crew, having that opinion. It says the price is traded in the market. Parallel price, I already said that. It says Al-Alaq called on the citizens, so he's getting their attention. Pay attention to the fact that the price they are looking at is the price at which the central bank sells to transfers and traders. Noting that more than 95% of the central bank's daily sales are foreign transfers, and the foreign transfer is what represents the reality of commercial and other operations that it covers at the official price. So keep in mind the central bank has an official price, because the parallel market, that cash market trading in dollars on the street corners, is not an accurate market, and there's going to be some pressure put on that market. And citizens have been warned about it. So if you get caught with outside the market properly, you could probably have a problem, and you might just lose your assets. So let's see how that turns out. So here the central bank governor, again, Al-Alaq, he says, article says, who goes to buy dollars from the black market? Well, the black market we know is an illicit market. It's illegal. But this is the word that it's going to get really interesting. It says, Al-Alaq says in an interview with local media, it says that a number of merchants, for personal reasons, still do not come using the official method and transfer what they need at the official price. But the percentage of these people decreases with the passage of time. So as time goes on, they're starting to get less and less and less people doing it. He says that there were only a few people who entered the platform for foreign transfers in the past, but now the numbers have become large and constantly increasing. Here's the kicker. Pay attention to this part. It says, when we reach the point where everyone is heading towards using the official and fundamental channels in the transfer process, then we find no room for there to be two prices for the dollar. So that's when he'll make his move. If he's not ready now, when will he be? I don't know. That's his call. It's on him to know the marketplace. When is it the safest time to do it? And as he's saying, though, over the passage of time, it gets shorter and shorter and shorter, because the people are using the system properly. And once he changes the exchange rate, I think that market, the two prices will go away like that. That's just my view. So anyway, that's another good article. I think you guys would like to read that if you haven't already. And then here's one where this is an expert on the back of Al-Alaq. He's talking about potentially an exchange rate change to get rid of the black market. It says, does printing the currency in Iraq cost huge amounts? An expert answers these questions, I guess. It says, financial and banking observers believe that central bank's policy of printing more monetary currency and making formal changes in it by changing the images on it cost the country huge amounts, while others believe that the changes shape of the currency does not cost any significant amounts in both cases. So there are two ideas. Two parties stressed effectively on the same page, I guess. The two parties stressed the need to develop the financial digital system, which is new, right? And improve banking performance. Al-Alaq and Al-Sudani talked about banking performance in line with what? The development in financial systems of neighboring countries and the world. So in other words, they're talking about what they agree on is that we need to be like everybody else. So they may have different varying views of whether it costs money or it doesn't cost money, but the bottom line is the two parties stressing that the need to develop the financial digital system, improve banking performance in line with development in the financial systems and neighboring countries of the world. So they're in agreement with that. Perfect. So it says here, the gentleman Hanush confirmed there are two types of currency printing. The first of the purpose of damage, and other type of for the purpose of printing for the first time. So there's two components to these guys' ideas. So it goes on to say the process in printing currency in Iraq, there are two types of damaged currency. Okay, so if you're using 000 notes and they're damaged, you're going to have to reprint them again and then reissue them. Okay, so if you print a new currency and a new type of currency issued for the first time, whether a certain model of image is placed on the currency and it is changed, it does not cost large amounts. It is not a process of withdrawing and replacing money. It's not that added expense of withdrawing and replacing it. It's like you're just actually adding it. So if you're going to a cashless society, but you still need a medium of exchange for many reasons, you're probably going to have just less cash because you have the electronic cards. You see what I mean? So they're not going to have to print so much money. Because another thing is that the use of that money will be far less because it's not everyday transactions. It might even be kind of difficult for them to get the small category notes because if they don't have a need for them, or at least in large amounts, okay? So they might have a limit on that. I don't know, but we're going to find out. But that's what this article is talking about. So as a result, the process of changing the image of the printing is continuous and it's scientific. Changing the image on the currency does not differentiate in the cost process, pointing out that the central bank's issuance department and safes are working on studying the new issue in response to market requests and its developments and reducing counterfeiting operations. There's more to the article. Pros and cons, they talk about the denominations that they have today. But the bottom line is there are many views, and they vary from one to another regarding the currency issuance. Look, digital systems are becoming more popular and in place now. And we know this by those thousands and tens of thousands of point of sales in place. We know about that as far as the increase in ATM machines. We know that about the tens of millions of electronic cards that have been issued. We know that about the tens and tens and tens of millions of national cards that have been issued. So getting in line with currencies around the world is where the issuance of a new currency issue comes to play. I think, in my view, is that it comes to play because if they want to get in line with other countries primarily the more astute countries, if you will, or more valuable countries, they don't have 000 notes as currency. They don't. We don't have them in the United States. The euros don't have 000s, you know. Okay, see what I'm saying? Okay, so they get changed to get in line by what? Deleting the zeros from the exchange rate. The cost of the currency will be relatively insignificant, as the digitization will create less need for cash. And that's what I just got through saying. So not everyone is on board with these traditions, and it's hard to be weaned from having the habit of having cash. But again, digital world is in line with other countries now, and currency that is issued more often than not is less the 3 zeros. So all of this, you guys, is a fresh reminder of just how close and where Iraq and al-Awlaq and al-Sudani and everybody in the country is at the moment. Again, fundamental channels to transfer process, we find no room for there to be two prices for the dollar. You guys realize that that's Article 8 compliance, right, with the IMF. They don't want multi-currency practices, okay? They don't want to do that. And what we're talking about, who is Article 4 compliance with? Our Article 4 consultation with was the IMF, okay? So you got to read these articles sometimes, and you have to try to paint a picture. It's not easy to see. It's really not. But you know what? We can, and we're seeing it. And I pointed out, I think, pretty close to where we are. And I want to say thanks, everybody, for staying with us. You know what? I appreciate the support everybody has. All those donations, small and large, have helped us stay with you, keep the study going, help Samson bring in the articles, helps Gigi with monitoring our room at patreon.com, our Discord chat room with Militia Man's chat. Everybody's welcome. We have rules. I just pray that you guys, when you do come in, pay attention a little bit. Don't push the envelope. Makes it difficult for some of us, okay? But anyway, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys soon. This is going to be a nice weekend. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel, or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated, as always. Much, much appreciated. Thank you so much, and have a great day.